This church was completed in 1886. There was a time when these buildings that sandwich us in and tower over us were not here. It stands as a beautiful architectural monument to how our people viewed themselves and how they viewed our God and what they thought was possible for everyone.
We fight by building wealth. We have what looks like success. But you know, a strong wind will come and blow all that stuff away.
From their earliest days, Black churches were political by necessity, from the abolitionist movement to the civil rights movement, and D.C. was no exception. But gentrification is driving its congregants out of the city.
You see a Black person in this neighborhood is like finding a unicorn grazing in the forest.
Pastor William H. Lamar IV of the historic MetropolitanAME Church located near the White House leads the longest operating Black church in the city, where many civil rights icons worshiped.
This is holy ground. So where you all are right now, the body of Frederick Douglass was in that space. The body of Blanche Kelso Bruce, the first Black U.S. Senator. The body of Rosa Parks. The people here will never sell this church. I used to live in this neighborhood in an efficiency that cost me $2,400 a month. And this was in 2015. I shudder to think what it costs now. Who can afford that?
In the year 2000, D.C.'s population was majority Black. But in the last 20 years, other communities have taken hold. And Black churches, well, they've been struggling to keep their doors open.
I know congregations around here who did nothing wrong, except the neighborhood where people used to work and live has now become stuff for people with disposable discretionary income.
And that's the story with Lincoln Temple UCC. Jean Cooper says the church has essentially dissolved in the last 50 years she's been a member.
A dog park started, who showed up next door, a skate park, bike racks, took away parking spaces. So those were indications, strong indications that the neighborhood had changed and would probably continue to do so. By the time we closed or had our last worship service in 2018, there were 15 people.
A political analysis found that the area, including Logan Circle and Shaw, has seen a combined loss of 7,490 Black residents in the last 20 years. Just a few blocks away, Pastor Earl Trent of Florida Avenue Baptist says developers are eyeing his church.
Your typical pastor is not trained in the marketplace, and certainly not the building and construction and development. To go toe-to-toe with a developer, you know, we're an easy target. That's why they come to churches. You know, it's a volunteer organization with maybe a couple of paid staff. You know, and you're sitting on, you know, real estate that is worth millions.
This city will be chocolate at the end of the day.
Despite being once proudly labeled Chocolate City, decades of racist local policies have set the stage for present-day displacement.
Slavery, Jim Crow racism, housing discrimination, redlining in particular, prohibited Black people from accumulating wealth.
Andre Imperi of the Brookings Institute studies racial wealth disparities. His book, Know Your Price, details the devaluing of Black homes.
DC home ownership, a 10-point drop between 25 and 2017. Crazy. You know, one indication of power in the United States is how much wealth families have. White families across the country have 8 times the amount of wealth as Black families, 8 times. When home ownership is uneven, and right now it's under 50% for Black people in the city, we have less anchors to stay here. Many developers target assets in Black communities because they are of lower value. And what we found nationally is that homes in Black neighborhoods are underpriced by 23%, about $48,000 per home. Cumulatively, there's a loss of about $156 billion.
While gentrification pushes out some low-income earners in the city, others are selling and using that equity to buy property in the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia.
LaJoy Park is, we had a unique situation. People walked out with cash in their hand, which is their right to do, right? We just didn't anticipate that. We thought they would stay.
It's a very complex issue. Many pastors want policy changes, but other longtime residents, like D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, just don't agree.
This is a market economy. For the last generation, beginning in 2000, gentrification has been a major force in D.C. Now, that is in part because the district can't build high because of the federal presence. That makes housing, and particularly affordable housing, scarce. When it comes to gentrification, this is not a federal issue.
Universal health care, a basic income or living wages demanded of all employers, that housing becomes a right and not a privilege. These are policies that would lift black folk, but they would lift everyone. So here's one road.
Aside from leading a church, Lamar helps lead the Black Equity Through Homeownership program, where religious leaders fight the lack of helpful policies by organizing black homeowners in D.C.
The black pastor, like the Jesus we claim to follow, remain connected to the pain of the people. And when I have investigated the cause of the pain, I see that it lands squarely in economics, politics, and policy. That forces me and the black church in the best of our tradition to say, wait a minute, we can give these people clothes and turkeys at Thanksgiving, but that does not fundamentally change their economic lot. I don't want apologies, I want policy.